Hello Rossonero fans, welcome back to this new episode of our AC Milan Talk. Today we're going to be discussing everything about AC Milan by starting from the first team, going to the interview of Ibrahimovic and also jumping into the magical moment for our women. We're ready, so let's begin. I'm not alone, obviously. As always, Sheridan Bird is here with me, but not just you, also Adriano Del Monte, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Juicy. Sheridan, great to be with you. Looking forward to it.
We have to start by what's happening in the first team right now, because unfortunately it was not a good week. Actually, we are taking a look at the results. The Derby della Madonnina ended 1-0 for men. What did you think about the game?
It's always tough to lose a derby, and it was a difficult match to watch. The first half, it was heavy going for Milan, but the second half, the team did tighten up a bit and showed some pride and showed some attacking promise, but it's never easy. But at the moment, it's just one of those phases that the team are going through. Inter are in good form, and they were deserved winners. But there were some rays of light in the second half that perhaps Adriano might give us a bit more information on.
I was seated behind the goal watching this match, working their pitch side. Look, I think the team grew into the second half. There were some positive signs that I'm very hopeful the team can take into the upcoming matches. Obviously, a lot of football to come, especially with the Champions League returning. But look, a few players I felt really built in confidence, especially in that second half. So I think there is some positivity to take away. Obviously, not the result that Milan wanted, but I think we could see improved performances in the coming weeks.
Of course, we have to say that for the occasion, actually, the Rossoneri changed formation to a three-man defense. What did you think of it?
Look, it was being talked about in the lead-up, and again, I think the players adapted as the match went on. Obviously, there were a couple of changes in the second half, Sheridan, that came in, and we did see a couple of players particularly really grow into their roles. We'll see, obviously, Torino to come Friday night, which we'll get into shortly. But I really feel there were a lot of positives to take away from the change in shape, the change in structure, which we saw improvements. In the end, obviously, we needed to score goals. We needed to see some Milan goals to get the result, and a couple of attacking players just slowly building into some form and confidence as well. But tactically, Mr. Pioli stuck to his guns there and really held the belief with his players, and hopefully we see more to come.
Yeah, it was about solidity, Juicy. It was about protecting the defence, protecting the penalty area, and it certainly had something of an impact there. And in the second half, Malik Chow came on, and he looks a very interesting player for the future, a very strong, quick defender. So, as Adriano says, the tactical switch, to a certain extent, helped solidify the team and the defence. And hopefully there are bright possibilities for the future.
Malik was one I did speak with prior to the match. Obviously didn't know whether he was going to play on the night, but he really struck me as a young individual with a really calm head on his shoulders, a lot of confidence, and I was really pleased to see him come into the second half of the derby, which is never easy, especially trailing, and really held his own. So looking forward to seeing what he can do for Pioli's side in coming weeks.
Right, since we mentioned Coach Pioli, let's listen to his words post-match, because we have what he had to say about it, and not only him, also Rade Krunic. So let's listen to their words.
È chiaro che abbiamo trovato sicuramente più densità, più solidità difensiva, abbiamo concesso qualcosa, ma purtroppo poi abbiamo subito il gol su palla inattiva, e anche questa dobbiamo trovare una soluzione, perché evidentemente è un problema. Credo che chiaramente si possa fare meglio, si possa sviluppare meglio tante cose, ma che abbiamo trovato sicuramente più solidità, più attenzione, più compattezza, questo senz'altro sì, non dimenticandoci che lo possiamo fare anche in modo più aggressivo, e che andrà fatto anche in modo più aggressivo. Più coraggio con la palla, questo assolutamente sì, e cercare di continuare a essere più compatti, perché oggi lo siamo stati sicuramente di più, e trovare fiducia anche da questa sconfitta, perché è una sconfitta chiaramente che fa male, perché aumenta il nostro momento negativo in un derby, ma dobbiamo trarre delle situazioni che ci possono aiutare a far vincere la prossima partita.
Noi siamo un gruppo forte, una squadra forte direi, con i giocatori forti, solo che il momento non è facile sicuramente mentalmente, non siamo pronti a affrontare questo tipo di partite con le sconfitte precedenti. Sicuramente un risultato positivo potrebbe cambiare tutto e noi non vediamo l'ora di allenarsi questa settimana. Sicuramente non sarà facile, però mentalmente soprattutto, però dobbiamo affrontare anche questa settimana con lavoro duro e lavorare più possibile e meglio possibile per la partita contro Torino.
We heard Coach Pioli loud and clear in identifying what AC Milan is lacking right now, also by the defensive solidity and also having more courage with the ball when we have the ball, actually.
Yeah, I agree. When things aren't going well and the team are struggling, that you kind of withdraw into yourself and you don't show as much courage on the ball, and you're scared to try things because it's a difficult moment for the team. But Mr. Pioli was quite right there, saying that the players have to remain. They have to keep their belief in themselves and just try things on the pitch, try risky things, and it will come back, and the form will come back.
Tactically, compactness was the key word that I took from Mr. Pioli's words there post-match. And it is about that. If they can rebuild that defensive solidarity, then there's no doubt, I've got no doubt that courage will come to attack and do that in a free-flowing style, as we saw in the Scudetto run, of course, last season. From the words of Rade Krunic there, they still have the belief. And they're excited to be back training and preparing for another match. And he did touch on that one result could be the difference to get the team back up and running. So that excitement and that enthusiasm, it's not lost. The squad is still there from the Scudetto last season. So a lot of positivity. It's a new month, one match into a new month, but I think there are bigger and better things to come.
Takes one great result, as you say, to be the ignition. And it's the first time I've seen Krunic speak. He's a very good communicator. He's class act off the pitch and also on the pitch. So there is positivity. It might seem hard to find the positivity in these months, but it is there.
Of course, as you started saying by the words, everything could change with a positive result. What did you think about this?
Well, absolutely.
Is it possible, to have the
positivity,
from
that enthusiasm that will come from 3 points. And we did see those improvements in the second half where, again, you just did sense that the group on the park, the 11 there that finished the match, they obviously finished much better than they started. Now, no doubt the home support will be in full voice against Torino Friday night, San Siro, expected to be close to sold out. Yet again, that needs to play the difference. And if that can be just the edge that this Milan group need to get those important 3 points, we could see Pioli's men getting back to their best very soon.
Yeah, we've already witnessed the effect that a result that doesn't go your favour can have. The draw with AS Roma was a real shock to the system, and it did send the team a little bit off the right path. But the other side of that coin is that a positive result that you don't expect to win, something that happens that you get 3 points from nowhere, that can actually have the positive twist and turn the season around.
Also, we have to say that Ibrahimovic was back talking to AC Milan's official channels, because actually his post-injury recovery is finally over. So let's listen to what he had to say about coming back to the dressing room.
Sono uno di tanti in questa squadra. Non sono stato disponibile per tanto tempo e mi dispiace, perché quando sei un calciatore attivo vuoi sempre stare vicino squadra, dentro la squadra, per aiutare in campo e fuori campo. Purtroppo questi primi mesi, 6 mesi, 7 mesi, non potevo stare in campo perché ho fatto questa operazione e soffro tanto, perché nel momento belli, nei momenti difficile vuoi sempre essere là, perché sei uno di loro. Quando sono arrivato 3 anni fa si parlava peggio di questa situazione che è oggi, che in realtà non è così grave come si parla. Però in 1 o 2 anni abbiamo fatto grandissime cose e stiamo facendo ancora grandi cose. Queste situazioni lo chiamo momenti, perché è un momento che se basta, che vai un po' in difficoltà, però bisogna rimbalzarsi più veloce possibile e non abbiamo fatto ancora, però manca tante partite e lo facciamo. Se torniamo 2 anni fa, se giocava in un stadio vuoto è un'altra cosa, perché i tifosi che ti dà adrenalina, ti dà carico, ti dà passione. Ho sempre detto, il 50% di quello che facciamo sono tifosi. È molto più bello giocare avanti tifosi, perché c'è qualcosa che sempre torna, nel positivo e nel negativo. È una partita che dà possibilità di rimbalzare questo trend negativo che c'è. È l'unico modo di cambiare le cose nelle partite ufficiali. Si può allenare, si può fare tutto durante la settimana, però è partita sempre che cambia tutto. Il campionato è lungo e ho detto questo campionato è un po' differente perché c'era un mezzo pausa con mondiale. Non l'ho visto tante grandi squadre ripartito al top. I primi 6 mesi eravamo secondi, come è finito. Adesso siamo un po' più giù, però è sempre stessa squadra come i primi 6 mesi. Se parliamo caso, 19 scudetti, allora è caso. 6-7 Champions League è caso. I grandi campioni sono passati in questo club, è caso. Quelli che hanno vinto Pallone d'Oro è caso. Questo è Milan. Milan deve vincere, non è caso. Siamo in Milan per vincere. E se abbiamo vinto è perché siamo a Milan, non per caso, non esiste caso. Perché ho detto, hai momenti difficili, momenti belli, buoni. Bisogna stare sempre al massimo livello per tenere questo ritmo, per stare in alto. È normale, non è per caso, non esiste per caso. E ogni volta che si vince qualcosa entra nella storia. E quello l'anno scorso di scudetto che abbiamo vinto è nella storia, ma non per caso, perché siamo a Milan.
So as usual, he's not afraid of taking responsibility for taking the team actually out of the quicksand. What do you think about it, and what can he actually give to the club right now?
Well, you just have to see him there to realise that he's a leader. His participation on the pitch hasn't been as much as he would have liked. He's had a serious injury. He's of a certain age, let's say. I don't want to, be rude because he's a big fella, but he's of a certain age and you get injuries when you get older. But he's coming back soon, we hope, and he is a leader in the dressing room. He's an example to the younger players. Some of the players who have lost their way, who are struggling a bit, just need to look up to Ibrahimovic, and he can give them the guidance and the motivation they need.
I feel ready to play for Milan after listening to Zlatan's words there.
Right?
He is that motivating leader that any dressing room would love to have, and his leadership, his experience, his quality and everything he brings will play a key role. There's no doubt about that. So I think he has a lot to offer. How many minutes? What's the plan with Pioli this season? Time will tell. Obviously, do need to be cautious. He's coming back from a very serious knee injury at an age where obviously he'd rather not have had that injury at this late stage of his career. But I think his presence in the dressing room, his presence particularly for some of those players who are lacking confidence and form at the moment, I think he will play a very, very key role, and I'm very excited to see him back in a Milan shirt.
I agree, and also let's point out what he said actually right at the end of his interview, where he actually said that when AC Milan is winning, it's no case. It's not like coming out of nowhere. AC Milan is there to win.
Yeah, he said there are no coincidences in football. If you win 7 Champions Leagues, European Cups, it's not by chance, it's not a coincidence. If you win the Scudetto last season, it's not a coincidence. These things happen for reasons, several reasons: hard work, talent, belief, and the team have to rediscover perhaps the belief part of that equation to strike gold again.
And I think understanding the values and what AC Milan as a club stand for, which Zlatan clearly knows, is very important. I think it's going to be a wonderful inclusion when he's back, and very excited, as I said.
Of course, let's now project ourselves to what's going to be happening tomorrow night, the match against Turin. Here's the next fixtures, and this team definitely are a tough opponent. What do you think about is going to be happening tomorrow?
Torino are a very, very tough team to play against. They're very well organised by their manager, Ivan Juric, who himself was a very solid midfielder. It's not a great team to play when you're trying to get back on track after a difficult run, but, you know, lots of the teams in Serie A are quality. But Torino have already made their presence felt playing against Milan this season, and this is the action from that match. So it's a challenge, it's a big challenge, it's a tactical challenge. I think it's also a challenge of competitiveness because they are a very committed team, Torino. They give everything on their pitch and they get
now
that.
We're actually taking a look at the goals of the last game.
Previous meeting, exactly. And you just need to look at this to see the weapons that Torino have. But I think one of their biggest weapons is something that their manager, their coach, Juric transmits, which is 100% commitment. He never gives anything up. So it's going to be tough for Milan, but Milan have more quality. I think Adriano would agree.
No doubt. I think Torino's certainly an opponent that need to be respected. Torino are a team that have performed quite well this season, especially on the road. They've scored in all but one of their matches on the road in Serie A this season. But look, I think a suitable opponent for this Milan to try and respond to. An honest, tough opponent, but a team that, we should be seeing an improved Rossonero performance, especially, as I said, off the back of that second half in the Derby della Madonnina last weekend.
Of course, we have to say that Coach Pioli is actually expected to deploy the same tactical formation as the Derby. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's like we were saying before, and Adriano was adding, was that the defence looked solid. I know they lost against Inter. We know the result was 1-0, but the defence looked a bit more protected. It looked like its foundations were stronger. And with Chow, who came on in the second half, it just showed that the defence, I think, is shoring up slowly but surely. It's becoming a bit more concrete. So it worked,
especially after a couple of games of conceding more than Pioli's men would have liked. It was that compactness that Pioli did discuss post-match against Inter that he did bring to the table there. And after 90 minutes of this formation against Inter, they will be better prepared.
Also, we have to say it's a little risky to do this with Juric because he knows this formation really well, the three-man defense.
Yeah, tactically, Juric is very well prepared. But as I say, most of the managers, if not all of the managers in Serie A, are very well tactically prepared. So I think it's a challenge against whoever you play.
Exactly. So now, actually, we're going to be listening to the words of Coach Pioli in his pre-match press conference today before the game against Turin.
Against Torino, they're always very tricky games for their way of playing. It's not just against us, it's in general. They put their opponents' build-up in difficulty. They press the full field. We must find solutions to overcome their pressure. Moving well and a lot, trying to be brave when we're in possession, trying to do something different from what we did in the last two games against them. Well, I made my decisions based on all we've done, our recent performances, the work we've put in, and I think it's the best solution for the moment for us to rediscover our way of building up play from the back, as well as a more solid defensive phase. He's doing better, but his match fitness is quite lacking. He trained with us for half the session the other day, and today he did the finishing touches. But his role has always been as a motivator, as well as being a great player. And I hope he will continue to be both things. Tomorrow he'll be with us because he wants to be with us. And it's a very important situation.
And this is what Coach Pioli had to say the day before the game in his pre-match conference. We're now going to be switching to some off-the-pitch topics. Last week, we had the commercial director, Michael Oetle, to discuss some initiatives off the pitch. This time, we're going to be discussing, actually, the initiatives of the CSR department, which follows social activities, the passion that comes with us, and will start, actually, during Milan Turin, an initiative that links the club to 5 leading realities in the area. What do you think about it?
Any way that football can help society or those less fortunate is always a good thing. It's the most popular sport in the world. Milan, one of the most popular clubs in the world. So any way, like I say, that football can just make a change and make life better for people. As I say, anything that improves the world through football is great.
One of the most powerful tools in the world, let alone a sport. And great to see AC Milan, this club, always at the forefront of that, leading the way, and great to see some legends out there supporting the cause. It's beautiful, and with the power it has, it's great to see, and we want to see more of it across the board.
Actually, Fondazione Milan has always had some really huge things to do actually with realities like that, and it's an opportunity, of course, for us also to underline the club's attention to social issues. Right, Sheridan?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, not everyone's as fortunate as us. Not everyone's as fortunate as football players who have a wonderful life. They work hard for it, but it's very special when they can give some of their luck back or give some of their time back to those who haven't been as fortunate. So it's wonderful, and it was just great to see Franco Baresi with those youngsters. Some of those youngsters probably wouldn't have heard of him, but their fathers, mothers, grandparents, grandmothers would. And yeah, chapeau.
Right, we're now going to be switching to another topic. We're going to be talking about our AC Milan women. Beautiful moment for our women, right, Sheridan? You know something about it.
It's going so well. The players are flying at the moment. Last weekend, there was a fantastic league performance here. We're looking at the graphic for the Coppa Italia, and do you see, Adriano, they are in the semi-finals of the Women's Coppa Italia after knocking out Fiorentina 2-1 on aggregate. It's great to be in the semi-finals of a prestigious competition like the Women's Coppa Italia, and the form in general, aside from the derby, has been fantastic. This is yesterday's match. That was a super shot from Martina Piemonte that touched the arm of a Fiorentina player. The referee says one thing when it touches the arm, Adriano.
That's right. The rules are very clear these days.
The rules are clear. This is the
Got to
spot
finish
kick.
the penalty.
Yeah, and this is a cool penalty from Kosovar Aslan. Her debut in the Women's Coppa Italia. Scored a wonderful penalty. And look at this. The goalkeeper goes one way and Kosovare puts it in the other corner. Pretty decent penalty, Adriano, would you say?
Nice finish. Obviously gave them a comfortable lead on aggregate at that point, but then Fiorentina did pull one back there, just getting past Bub at the post. And to their credit, though, you watch this one very closely. They held on, but there was some fine individual performances that ensured the result.
Yeah, there was a bit of a mix-up for the goal, and that made it a bit nervy. But you watch this. This is right at the end. This is in injury time. And look at this save from Selena Bab. That is as good as a goal, Juicy. I tell you what, that save, and you can see her teammates hugging her and fist bumping and high fives and general celebration. This was so crucial. If this had gone in, it would have been extra time, and no one would have wanted that because Milan were the better team on the day. What do you think of that save, Adriano?
Wonderful save. We were talking off air that this is very similar to Martinez in the World Cup final. A wonderful save, and they're through to the semi-finals. And it's great to see, obviously, Bub, the second keeper for the women's team, and great to see she's worked very hard to get to that position and spend a bit of time on loan, has come back and really doing some wonderful stuff there, pulling off some fantastic saves and ensuring that her team go through to the semi-finals. A very nice semi-final tie now against Roma as well. 4 top clubs remain in that semi-finals there, and a trophy on the line. But a really interesting time, Juicy, for the women's team, of course, coming to the end of that first half of the domestic season. I think 2 rounds still to play, and then it's into the championship group as a top 5 finisher. So an exciting time with the semi-final in the Coppa Italia to come.
Of course, we have to say this was a crucial draw for our women who are living actually a magical moment, also distinguished by a 2-1 win against Juventus over the weekend, Sheridan.
It's history. You know, Juventus, for those who don't follow Italian women's football so closely, Juventus have been in control for the last few seasons.
True.
To go to Turin and beat Juventus, there's the confirmation there, 2-1, is something very, very special, and it doesn't happen many times to the Bianconere. So for them, it was a bit of a shock, but for Mr. Gantz and his team, it's a prestigious victory.
And an important 3 points as well. I mentioned 2 rounds to come, Pomigliano and Como to come, but a result here at Juve does not happen too often, and a win, 3 points that will do the girls' conference a world of good going into this next part of the season.
Yeah, here's the penalty incident. Sorry, Juicy, to interrupt, but here's the penalty incident that featured a red card for a Juventus player. Martina Piemonte, right before half-time, took the penalty. Martina is in immaculate form. She has had a really good return to the season after Christmas, and it was a fierce penalty to put Milan ahead. And in the second half, they doubled the lead, and Juventus nearly came back. They showed fight, which you would expect from any Juventus side, but it wasn't enough.
For a Juventus team that have performed so well in the last two editions of the Women's Champions League, this must give the Milan girls such confidence, knowing that they can match it with a team that have performed so well against some of the world's very best. So for Mister and for his players, I think a very important 3 points, not only for this season, but going forward into the future.
All right, so this was a very positive week, and we can also project ourselves to the next match, actually the one against Pomigliano. It's a way to redeem ourselves also.
Yeah, the match against Pomigliano in Campania in the Naples region was a tough match, and it was Milan lost, perhaps shouldn't have lost, but everything went against the women on that occasion. But this is a chance to put that right at the Puma House of Football to try and get the result. It's always tough playing Pomigliano, but Mr. Gantz's side, as we said, aside from the derby, which was a difficult defeat to digest, aside from the derby, the Rossonero are in sparkling form, and just keep that going, keep the momentum going.
And with some of their opponents meeting each other as well, another really important 3 points. Roma, Inter, Fiorentina, Juve, you saw the fixtures there. 3 points here, another opportunity to surge up the table.
We can now close the topic of our AC Milan women and switching to the under-19. It's not a good time for Abate's men. Our under-19 fell 2-0 against Sassuolo. Sheridan, this is the results of the last match day.
Yeah, I think the scorelines, the results at the moment speak for themselves. As you say, it's a difficult time for Ignazio Abate's side. Things aren't quite going well, but there are one or two players coming back to the team after injury, and some of the attacking play is okay. It's just not quite cohesive enough. But the on the horizon is the UEFA Youth League. So perhaps some of the players have got half a mind on that, which is understandable, because that's a very exciting, enticing part of the schedule. But they have to concentrate on the here and now. They have to concentrate on domestic action. This is the action from the game against Sassuolo, which didn't go the side's way, but there's a chance at the weekend to get back on the right track.
And of course, a sense of, pride, I guess, for the youngsters there. They are Italy's only remaining team in the UEFA Youth League. Juve and Inter eliminated earlier in the week. Napoli eliminated in the group stage. So, yeah, something to look forward to still, and hopefully some improved performances to come domestically.
Definitely. Also, we have to say that for the young players, it's not as much as winning as growing, right, Adriano?
Of course, and still in the UEFA Youth League, as I touched on, an opportunity to still play against some of Europe's more talented young squads coming through, opportunities to grow, compete, and who knows, maybe even be integrated into the first team in the coming season. So still plenty to gain from the remaining fixtures in the season, but hopefully we do see some improved performances coming very soon.
Yeah, exactly. This is, it's a place to develop. It's a place for the players to feel the pressures that they will feel if they eventually make it to the Milan first team, or if they don't make it to the Milan first team, they might make it at other clubs, but they want to play at the top level. And it literally is a training ground. It's a great place to acclimatise yourself, especially the UEFA Youth League. So, Abate is doing a decent job. I think he's got the youngsters behind him. He believes in them. There will be hiccups along the way. There will be difficult phases, but it's like you said right at the beginning, Juicy, it's about growing.
Also, we have to say that the next game of our under-19 will be the game against Frosinone. It's the right occasion to raise our heads again, isn't it right, Sheridan?
Yeah, the match against Frosinone earlier on in the season was a roller coaster. Was a crazy match, and was unfortunately a defeat. But it featured 8 goals. It was 5-3 to Frosinone. Well, let's hope that Milan can score 3 again this weekend, but without conceding the 5.
Also, we have to say that there are some good news from the injury list, because Leonardo D'Alessio will be back after 6 months out caused by an eye issue. So we will be very happy to have him again on the pitch with us. So thank you very much for being with me to discuss everything about AC Milan. Adriano Del Monte.
Thank you, Juicy. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you, Sheridan Bird. I will be seeing you next week.
Nice to see you, Juicy. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you very much for those who followed us. We'll be meeting each other actually next week to discuss everything about AC Milan and also the next match against Tottenham. Ciao.